Do you truly believe that hard work generates wealth? If so, why does a bricklayer, who wakes up at 5 in the morning, remain poor? Why do teachers, nurses, or rideshare drivers, who work twice as hard, still live burdened by debt? I used to believe that too. Until I discovered that opulence isn't physical, it's invisible. It's a habit. So simple it seems absurd. But it pulled me out of debts greater than my annual income, leading me to my first $1 million. Today, I reveal this to you. I learned, the hard way, that money isn't just paper or numbers. It's energy. Like all energy, it vibrates at a certain frequency. Without the same alignment, it might come, but it slips away like water through your fingers. That's what happened for years. I worked, earned little, lived in debt, and never understood why it was so hard to hold on to money. Perhaps you've experienced this. You receive your paycheck, and before the month ends, it's gone. Or you save, but an emergency arises, a broken car, an unexpected bill, a debt resurfaces. And you ask yourself, why is it so difficult to prosper if I try so hard? The answer, your vibration. I remember earning about $4,000 annually and owing nearly $6,000. The burden of living with more debt than income. I looked at myself in the mirror, will I always be like this? Just surviving, without abundance? I didn't realize I was vibrating debt, fear, scarcity. My mind woke up thinking about lack, went to sleep thinking about bills, and spent the day putting out fires. Have you ever noticed that when you're worried about debts, more unexpected bills appear? It's not a coincidence. That's how vibration works. What you emit, you attract. Many people vibrate worry, fear, and insecurity their entire lives. It's no surprise that their financial results reflect this. A mentor showed me something that changed my life forever. He drew an R and said, "This R stands for result." It never lies. It's a reflection of your current vibration. I realized I didn't need to change the world, my job, or find a miracle solution. Just my vibration. I was tuned to the wrong frequency. Think about it, you turn on the radio, and you only hear the station it's tuned to. For classical music, you don't turn to rock. The same applies to money. You want prosperity, but you're tuned to scarcity? What do you expect to hear? What do you expect to receive? Science proves it. Quantum physics shows that everything vibrates, including thoughts and emotions. Neuroscience confirms that repeated thoughts create brain patterns that shape behaviors. Repeating worries and scarcity daily reinforces connections that trap you in the cycle. Thinking about abundance and solutions creates new connections, leading to previously invisible opportunities. I experienced this firsthand. Upon understanding that I needed to change my vibration, I started asking, how can I earn more? Instead of, how do I pay this bill? This small shift opened up a new world. Existing opportunities jumped out at me. People who could help appeared. Impossible ideas began to make sense. All because I adjusted my internal frequency. Be honest, what has your vibration been like in the past few months? Do you think more about debts or prosperity? Problems or solutions? Do you wake up worried about lack or excited about what you can achieve? The answer explains your results today. I know it's hard to think about abundance with bills piling up and money being scarce. But I've been there, and that's where the transformation began. Deep down, there's a way, upwards. It doesn't start externally, but within you, in the vibration you choose to emit every single day. Money is energy. Energy responds to frequency. If you change your vibration, your reality will change. It happened for me, and it can happen for you too. The habit that changed my life was so simple that, at first, I doubted it. It was merely writing my goal on an index card and reading it every day, multiple times. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? I thought so. How could a piece of paper change my reality? I remember the first amount, $125,000 per year. I was earning less than $2,000 per month and owed more. I was honest, I laughed when I wrote it down. It seemed impossible, unattainable, like living on another planet. But I obeyed. I read the card daily, morning, night, day. Something subtle occurred. With each reading, I became accustomed to it. Gradually, the number stopped being a joke and became a possibility. Science explains it. Our brain has the reticular activating system, a filter. It shows us what's in focus. That's why, when you think about a particular car, you start seeing it everywhere. It was always there. But you weren't noticing it. The goal card does this. It programs your mind to filter for opportunities, people, and ideas aligned with what you desire. Over time, I realized that I didn't attract what I wanted merely by wishing for it. I attracted it because I became the person capable of living that reality. The daily repetition reprogrammed my subconscious, altering decisions and behaviors without me even noticing. I no longer thought about paying bills, but about creating new income streams. I didn't see limitations, but possibilities. Important, you don't attract what you want, but what you are. And what you are depends on what you constantly think about. Many desire prosperity but harbor fear, doubt, and scarcity. How could reality change if the internal frequency remains the same? The card habit aligns your mind with your desired vibration. It doesn't let you forget your destination, even if everything around you seems to contradict it. I've seen this habit change many lives. I remember a man, 35 years old, ashamed of earning minimum wage and believing himself doomed. I gave him a blank card, asking him to write his true goal. He put $100,000 per month. For him, it was like climbing Mount Everest. But he took it seriously. He read the card daily, visualized, acted as if he deserved it. In less than 2 years, he opened his own business and was earning more than $500,000 per month. This isn't an isolated case. Scientific studies show that repeating ideas with emotional intensity creates new neural pathways. It's like training your brain for a new identity. By changing your identity, your behavior follows. The card isn't magic. The magic lies in the repetition that transforms your mind and, consequently, your life. Imagine the impact on your life. Instead of waking up and thinking about debts, you wake up and read, "I am financially free. I receive $10,000 per month." Instead of falling asleep worried, you fall asleep visualizing your dream home, detailed on your card. Gradually, this reality transcends the verbal realm and metamorphoses into a new mental pattern. The distinction between individuals who achieve their goals and those who don't lies in persistence. Countless people note down their objectives, but then relegate them to oblivion in some compartment. This approach is ineffective. It's like planting a seed and digging it up daily to check its growth. Patience, rigor, and reiteration are required. For transformation begins internally, manifesting externally only afterwards. I myself hesitated at first, but I remained steadfast. And this stubbornness opened up paths I would never have perceived. Suitable individuals appeared, fresh concepts surfaced, courage emerged. All because I kept my focus in a single direction. This uncomplicated practice, involving a simple note and a few moments each day, proved more fruitful than many years of exhaustive effort without a purpose. This is the power of written definition. By determining your aspirations, firmly recording them, and reviewing them daily, you plant the seed of prosperity in your intellect. And, at some point, external reality will adjust to the representation you cultivate within yourself. Many individuals assume they don't prosper due to a lack of dedication, method, or because they haven't discovered the ideal strategy. However, the truth is that, in most situations, the impediment doesn't lie in our actions, but rather in our beliefs. I experienced this myself. Since childhood, I heard statements like, "Wealth is impure, the rich are greedy, only with great labor and sacrifice does one achieve anything." These expressions penetrated directly into my subconscious, and I didn't realize that it was precisely these beliefs that kept me trapped in a cycle of limitations. The subconscious mind is largely formed in the early years of life, even before we possess the discernment to question what is transmitted to us. Up until 7 years old, we assimilate everything as an unquestionable certainty. If you grew up hearing that you weren't destined to be prosperous, that you shouldn't aspire to much in life, or that contentment and opulence don't coexist, it's quite probable that today you obey these convictions without even realizing it. It's as if software operates at the core of your thoughts, dictating all your choices, sensations, and even the barriers you impose on yourself. I met a woman who received a substantial legal settlement, approximately $400,000. It was more money than she had ever seen in her entire life. However, after 2 years, she had nothing left but debts and frustrations. How is this explained? The reason is clear: her capital changed. But her perspective did not. She remained bound to the same energy of scarcity, maintaining the same archetypes of fear, guilt, and restriction. This is the impact of hidden beliefs. You can change locations, occupations, or even be surprised with sudden wealth, but if your way of thinking doesn't change, you will soon return to your starting point. Don't think this only affects ordinary people. I myself faced an internal dilemma when I started earning significant amounts. Deep down, I felt like an outsider, as if I didn't deserve it. I believed it was luck, that it would soon end, because I had been taught that opulence wasn't for everyone. And the result? I began to self-sabotage. On a trip to London, I spent enormous sums in casinos, almost as if I wanted to get rid of the money and return to my comfort zone. This was no mere coincidence. It was my subconscious impelling me back to the pattern of scarcity familiar since childhood. This is the crux of the matter: our beliefs constitute the foundation upon which we build our entire existence. They determine the amount we deem acceptable to earn, what we believe we are worthy of, and even the extent to which we allow joy to be a part of our daily routine. And it is for this reason that many individuals fail to progress, even when studying books, attending training sessions, or trying new approaches. 4. When tension arises, when obstacles appear, the subconscious mind takes control and directs us back to our habitual pattern. You may have experienced this yourself. You start something new, full of enthusiasm, but when the first hurdles emerge, an inner voice whispers, "This isn't for you, it's smarter to give up now before it gets worse, it's useless to persist, you'll never succeed." This voice is not your true essence, it's the programming implemented decades ago. It disguises itself as caution or modesty, but in reality, it's solely fear masquerading as wisdom. The riskiest part is that many of these beliefs appear to be harmless. Phrases like, "It's preferable to have little and live in peace," or, "I don't need much to be content," may even sound appealing, but when used as an excuse, they act as an imperceptible prison. They inhibit you from growing, from exploring your potential, from enjoying a life of abundance that, deep down, you feel is rightfully yours. I discovered that changing beliefs is not a quick process, but it is entirely achievable. It's comparable to replacing a soundtrack that constantly plays in the background. Initially, you barely notice it, but with repetition, discipline, and discernment, it is possible to incorporate a new melody, a new program that supports your purposes instead of frustrating them. This is the solution to breaking the pattern that traps most people, understanding that the limitation is not in the external environment, but in the silent convictions that govern your inner life. And the question you need to ask yourself right now is, how many of your current decisions are truly your own choices, and how many are merely reflections of ancestral beliefs you absorbed without realizing? When I began accumulating more wealth than I had ever imagined, a part of me couldn't quite accept that it was real. I felt like an imposter, as if at any moment someone would tap me on the shoulder and say, "That's not yours, give it back." This feeling accompanied me for an extended period because my self-perception was still that of an inexperienced, indebted, lost, and directionless individual. Even surrounded by opportunities, my mind persisted in dragging me back to the level I believed I deserved to be at. During that period, I made significant mistakes. I even squandered fortunes in casinos, such as in London. I found myself at the roulette table, betting disproportionate amounts, not for pleasure, but out of an almost subconscious urge to get rid of the money. It was as if, deep down, I believed it wasn't for me, that everything would soon disappear, so I hastened the end myself. This is the trap of self-image. It acts as an internal thermostat. If your life ascends beyond what you believe you deserve, your mind finds a way to restore the previous level. It is for this reason that many lottery winners or heirs to vast fortunes lose everything in a few years. It's not bad luck, but identity. The mind does not accept sustaining something that doesn't align with its self-image. If, deep down, you still see yourself as someone with limitations, unworthy of abundance, who should only fight for survival, your subconscious will take charge of leading your life back to that pattern, even if, for a while, you may have risen above it. I know this notion might seem stark, but it is liberating when you understand how it works. 4. If self-image can imprison, it can also liberate. The secret lies in acting from the inside out, building a new perception of who you are and what you deserve. It is not enough to change jobs, start a business, or acquire a significant amount of capital. If you do not transform how you see yourself, you will continue to inadvertently self-sabotage. How many times have you turned down a chance because you thought, "This is too good for me"? How many times have you felt uncomfortable receiving praise or an offer that could change your trajectory? This discomfort isn't modesty, it's your self-image trying to keep you at your usual level. I needed to assimilate that success wasn't just about gaining more, but about becoming someone capable of sustaining that abundance. It was an internal struggle, as it required abandoning old beliefs, breaking the feeling of unworthiness, and establishing a new identity. It wasn't simple. There were moments when I myself was close to giving up, but I realized that if I didn't improve my self-image, any external triumph would be ephemeral. It's like building a skyscraper on unstable ground. You can erect the most impressive structure, but if the foundation isn't strong, it will eventually crumble. Self-image is that foundation. By strengthening the representation you have of yourself, adjusting it to see yourself as someone capable of abundance, able to progress and preserve your achievements, success becomes lasting. I learned that it wasn't enough to acquire capital. I needed to transform into the kind of individual who feels comfortable with prosperity, who perceives it as intrinsic, not as something external or transient. This process begins in the tranquility of the mind, the moment you decide to cease the self-perception of smallness and begin to see yourself as the magnificent version of who you intrinsically are. The persistent question is, what image do you cultivate of yourself right now? Do you consider yourself worthy of abundance and success, or someone condemned to an endless battle against scarcity? Your life's trajectory will never transcend the conception you have of yourself. Therefore, redefining self-image is not an option, but a non-negotiable premise. When I contemplate examples of profound and genuine changes, stories of individuals invariably come to mind who, amidst the most arduous conditions, managed to shape their own reality from an inner choice. Oprah Winfrey is one such name. She was born into deep poverty, faced abuse, prejudice, and a childhood that, without much effort, could have sealed a future of pain and failure. However, at a certain point, she decided that those experiences would not determine her identity. She began to cultivate, within herself, a mindset of prosperity, overcoming, and influence. Today, she not only built a net worth estimated at billions of dollars, but also established one of the most impactful communication platforms on the planet. What changed wasn't merely her external conditions, but primarily how she saw herself internally. This is the potential of the mind when in harmony with a new perspective. And perhaps you've already noticed this in everyday situations. Have you ever thought about buying a specific car and, suddenly, started seeing it everywhere? It's not that the world was suddenly filled with that car model. It was always there, but your mind was now tuned to perceive it. The same applies to opportunities for success. They surround you constantly, but you only perceive them when your attention, your vibration, and your mental setup are aligned with what you desire. And it is precisely where many go wrong. They believe they first need to see the external environment change, and only then believe. But the sequence is, in fact, inverse. First you believe, first you tune in, first you build the internal vision. Only then does external reality begin to bend to this new frequency. It was like that with Oprah, it was like that with me, and it can be like that with anyone who decides. I witnessed this firsthand with ordinary people, with no celebrity status, no inheritance, no prominent contacts. Individuals who, deep down, were convinced of a destiny of deprivation, but who, by recalibrating their mindset, began to discern doors opening, the right people crossing their paths, ideas germinating as if from nowhere. What changed wasn't the external universe. What transformed was how they began to perceive themselves and connect with the abundance that was already available. There is a subtle distinction separating those who live in scarcity from those who live in abundance, and that distinction is the predominant thought. Oprah is just a notorious example. But you don't need a global stage or billions of dollars in your account to experience this metamorphosis. You just choose to face yourself and life with a renewed perspective, believing that you also deserve, that you also can. And, when this conviction integrates into your essence, the world begins to respond. This is the grandeur of the human intellect. It holds the power to transmute limits into steps and scars into a propelling force for growth. What defines the path isn't what you experienced, but the resolution of how to interpret what happened and on what you will base yourself from now on. When you apprehend this, no impediment can hold you back. You become like someone who unlocked the key to an access that was always internally sealed. And, when that door opens, existence will never be the same. When you embrace this simple commitment, something profound begins to change. Initially, it may appear to be inert. You examine the record, echo the phrases, visualize the future, and life remains unchanged. But, subtly, a new root begins to be planted. It's like planting a seed in the soil. For days, perhaps for several weeks, you observe and perceive nothing. But beneath the surface, in the realm of the imperceptible, vitality already erupts, expands, preparing to emerge. This is how it happens with your mind. At first glance, the card may seem like just a piece of paper, but in essence, it forms a cornerstone for building a new self. I know many will hesitate. Perhaps you're even thinking, how can such a simple practice completely revolutionize everything? I had that exact thought too. I doubted my own ability when I first wrote down my goal. But I committed to the exercise and persevered. And it was through this very repetition that I found the strength to break free from old paradigms. Because the power isn't in the words written on it. The potential lies in persistently contemplating it, meditating on it, perceiving it as true until your intellect begins to operate in alignment with this new directive. This is the point where your existence begins to harmonize. You realize you no longer feel comfortable lamenting debts or uttering expressions of scarcity. You start to feel uneasy hearing the saying, money doesn't grow on trees, because now you understand that abundance is infinite, and what limits it is merely the conditioning of your thought. Subtle behavioral changes emerge naturally. You adopt bolder resolutions, embrace perspectives you previously dismissed, and begin to assent to what resonates with your renewed self. And I want you to reflect deeply right now. How many times have you let an opportunity slip away out of fear of not being ready? How many times have you denied yourself something potentially life-changing, simply because your inner voice whispered unworthiness? Understand this, that wasn't misfortune. That was merely the regulating mechanism of your self-perception adjusting your existence to stay within its habitual boundaries. This card exercise represents the most direct method to recalibrate that regulating mechanism. I've seen this play out repeatedly with individuals who sought my guidance. One of them, an ordinary man, lacking faith in himself, wrote on his card a goal that sounded unrealistic, to earn $100,000 every month. He initially found the idea amusing, but he persisted. After 2 years, he not only achieved his goal but surpassed it many times over. Not because of some magical charm of the object, but because the daily practice of contemplating it shifted his self-perception and, consequently, the decisions he made. That's why I can state with such certainty, if you commit yourself, if you maintain this routine for 30 days, without interruption, you will not be the same person at the end. You might not see the full effect, but you will have already changed the way you perceive yourself, and that is the germ of all lasting transformation. And if you feel this material resonates, if something within you is stirred, subscribe to the channel immediately and mark your approval. This is more than just an act of support, it's a way of affirming to yourself your commitment to your betterment. Because, believe me, this is merely the beginning. With each step forward, each new exercise, you will ascend an additional level on this journey, and you will soon notice that you have become a facet of yourself that previously seemed unattainable. Now, think about someone in your inner circle who might need these words as much as you do. Share this video content with that person, because a simple act can ignite the spark of transformation in someone else's life. My sincere gratitude for your presence with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next recording, where we will continue our collective ascent toward prosperity and development.